Welcome back to this year's webinar. Sorry for being a few minutes late. The last session ran right up to the end. My name is Brad Williams. I am the team lead for NEUP, and I also have responsibilities this year for a new work scope that we're soliciting for the first time on integral benchmark evaluations. This is being considered a mission supporting work scope. And it's designated as NE because it really supports all of the Office of Nuclear Energy. And I'll go through a little bit about what this is and what we're specifically interested in this year. Again, this is mission supporting, so these are the more transformative ideas. It's a little bit more open to what you think is best and what you're interested in. And the dollar value for these 3-year projects is $400,000 total. So this first slide gives you a little bit of background on the International Criticality Safety Benchmark Evaluation Project, ISSBEP for short. It's a lot of data here, and I know it's small, but just wanted to provide it for you. This program was initiated way back in 1992 under DOE's defense programs and was called the Criticality Safety Benchmark Evaluation Project. It was initially managed and still continues to be so out of the Idaho National Lab and the Department of Energy Idaho Operations Office. This program involves many nationally known and recognized criticality safety experts, both here domestically and internationally, and you can see where some of those experts can be found on the map of the U.S. below, and also on the international map. You can see there's approximately 20 or so international partners. This program, initiated out of DOE and expanded internationally, was picked up by the NEA, Nuclear Energy Agency, out of OECD in 1995, and it continues to be run as such today. The second big player here related to benchmark evaluations is the International Reactor Physics Experiment Evaluation Project. Again, this is an international OECD NEA activity. INL, again, has leadership here domestically for that. And below you can see some of the international partners. So what is the purpose of these two groups? And this slide outlines that. It's basically taking the initial data, the experimental data that's been benchmarked, evaluating it, identifying what the data is, verifying that it's correct, pulling it all together. This entire cycle is peer-reviewed. That's a very important piece before it's finally implemented and finalized in the data libraries. And then once it's gone through the process, it's available for future use, for future experiments, models, and systems analysis type activities. Next couple slides provide you with some documentation giving you much more detail on these activities. You can find the links to these documents here. The first is a handbook of criticality safety benchmark experiments. You can see the details of what it includes on your left, and the last edition was pretty recent, just last month. Another example of a useful document, this is on the reactor physics side, similar type information, and this was drafted in the spring of this year. So this is just a slide to give you some more detail of specifically what these two groups do and what the benefit they add incorporates. Look for gaps in necessary data and then try to work to fill those gaps across the board. They're not tied to a specific program, so this is an instance where there might be gaps. They may or may not have direct ties to a specific NE program, but they just, filling these gaps may generally be beneficial to nuclear energy as a whole. They work to retrieve lost data in addition to the gaps and reduce errors and deficiencies in cross-sections and codes. So this slide kind of goes into some more of the details of specifically what's in the work scope as written this year. What we're looking for essentially are benchmark evaluations. And we want to do that against existing data. You see below some of the examples of the types of measurements that are necessary. I won't go through all of them, but you can see those as examples. It's not meant to be all-inclusive. These are examples. And then the next couple slides are samples of identified evaluation needs. You can see the lists as based on reactor type, small modular reactors, BWRs, gas reactors, and so on, and some of the specific data that's available and needs to be benchmarked. Again, this is more detail on several different types of reactors, including some research reactors at the universities themselves. So that might be a good opportunity, as well as some of the test reactors at the national labs. And I'll finish with this contact information slide. I am the lead here at headquarters for this activity, but Drs. Briggs and Bess at INL really take the lead on this program as a whole. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to contact any of us, and we will coordinate with you as we can. With that, I will take any questions.
Brad, we have one question. What does the note mean on the final slide? Will this work scope cover nuclear data measurements or evaluations not explicitly outlined if it has sufficient importance to future programs?
That was the point I was trying to make with filling the gaps. What we're trying to say here is that you don't necessarily have to tie the needs to a specific NE R&D program. There may be general needs out there or gaps that need to be filled that could support multiple programs, or just, it's good information to have. So the key is that it doesn't have to be as specific as some of the other work scopes.
Are thermal spectrum gas-cooled reactor benchmarks of interest?
I mean, honestly, I think I'm going to just going back to the things that were highlighted. I think really, these are the key items that were listed, but I think anything that's missing or lacking or could be improved that you think of, it's welcome here. I'm trying to avoid saying, we want this and don't want this, because this area in mission supporting really is supposed to be open, and we're looking for you to tell us what what should be here, more than us telling you what specific things we need. So if you feel that it's a strong gap and needs to be filled and think it's important to do so, please submit accordingly.